My mission is simple, to make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Mad Money starts now. Hey, I'm Cramer. Welcome to a special Nvidia-focused edition of Mad Money. Welcome to Cramerica. Regular viewers know that I've been pounding the table on Nvidia for years. I've watched the stock shoot up 2,500% in just the last 5. Artificial intelligence and its accoutrements keep flitting in and out of fashion on Wall Street. But when it comes to AI, and Nvidia in particular, we should remember that the data center filled with Nvidia chips is not some fleeting finite tale. It's one of the greatest stories ever told. Let me give you an example. When I was at Salesforce's Dreamforce conference, Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff sat down with Jensen Huang, he's the CEO of Nvidia, after inking a cooperation agreement regarding Salesforce's new agent force rollout. Jensen opined on the state of AI, a field he practically created. More important, Jensen talked about how we haven't even scratched the surface of what can be done with artificial intelligence. Take a look.
This is the best. Nobody should miss the next decade. Would you agree with that? You're not going to want to miss this movie. Yeah, you're not going to want to miss this movie. I think the next 10 years, the breakthroughs that we're going to have in digital biology, the breakthroughs in just helping diagnosing disease, the breakthroughs in science. We're going to have so many scientific assistants.
Moments like these remind me that on Wall Street, Nvidia's role is often misunderstood. Nvidia intends to make ever more powerful chips that can do unimaginable things. Ultimately, AI will end up performing many miracles. I'm skeptical of many of the AI initiatives we have now. They tend to be old things that would have been done anyway, things that are just being rebranded as AI. But one thing we know for sure is that Nvidia has been and will be at the forefront of whatever AI does in the world. That's why when Nvidia's CEO Jensen Huang talks, I listen. It's also why tonight we're taking you back to my exclusive one-on-one conversation with the man I call the Da Vinci of AI himself, direct from Nvidia's Developers Conference in March. We discussed chip demand, the company's stock split, Nvidia's growing list of partners, and even got to talk about how Jensen got to where he is today. Take a look. I am with Jensen Huang, and we are at what some people are calling, Jensen, the Woodstock of AI. But isn't it much more than that? Isn't it about a change in everything we do when it comes to digital, when it comes to creating, when it comes to thinking? You're changing that. Isn't that what we're doing out here?
Yeah, this is an incredible conference. This is NVIDIA's developer conference. Everything that we do starts with software. Everything we do starts with software. And everything we do is in service of all the software developers who are solving these really difficult algorithms. We are represented by $100 trillion of industry here. Healthcare is here, financial services are here, manufacturing, industrial, automotive, climate tech, holy cow, communications is here, consumers are here.
But people always think of you as hardware. You're talking about a different platform, a system that frankly may be unassailable from competitors, because once all these companies get involved with you, they're going to stick with Nvidia.
It's a very specialized way of doing computing called accelerated computing. And what we do is this, Jim, this is the observation a long time ago. 30 years ago, we observed that the CPU is really good at many things, but there are some things it's surprisingly ungood at. Parallel things that you could distribute across a large number of processors. And so what we did was we added NVIDIA to a CPU. We connected it to a CPU, offload the work that the CPU is not good at. And we run that work insanely fast. Well, surprisingly, that work that the CPU is not good at represents 95% of the time that is spent in computing. We offload that 95% of the time, and we run it 100 times faster.
But you're talking about a total do-over of all technology. Yeah. You're talking about everything. Our country's building new plants that are using old technology. If that's the case, it's wrong.
Well, we should build amazing semiconductor plants here, and we'd be more than happy to build all kinds of chips here. But it's very clear that in the future, that general purpose computing, it's like a general purpose almost anything, general purpose instrument of any kind, it's not very efficient.
Right.
There are many types of things that we want to do very efficiently. Computation of mathematics, we want to do very, very efficiently. And so as a result of doing it efficiently, you drive the cost down. You use less energy. One of our computers, this is our latest generation, this is the chip that goes into it. This is the largest chip the world's ever seen. This is beyond the limits of physics. We had to invent some new technology to make it possible to do this.
How many bits are in?
208 billion transistors.
In that?
Gosh, it's even harder.
What we're looking at?
In this little tiny part in the middle.
And what should that cost?
This will cost, $30,000, $40,000.
And how much did you spend to develop?
The very first one, the R&D budget of this generation is probably something like $10 billion.
10 billion, not million. $10 billion. And you deserve the right to be able to recoup that. And you're doing it.
Well, we're going to do our very best job. And this computer here,
and the name of that computer?
This is called the Blackwell computer. This computer
named
here
after
has a mathematician.
Right.
Yeah.
Mathematician.
Yeah. Really terrific mathematician. And this computer here will replace thousands of general purpose computers. This is the part that's incredible. In fact, what's amazing is that the cables of connecting last generation general purpose computers, the cables of connecting them cost more than the price of one of these computers. The amount of energy that we save is incredible. Megawatts and megawatts and megawatts. Because of this, we made it possible for the computer to write software by itself. It is so insanely fast. Now the software can write, the computer could write its own software, and we call that artificial intelligence.
So if that's the case, why do we still need us?
Well, we still have to guide the software. We have to create the algorithms such that the computer can go write software. And that algorithm is called deep learning. Yeah, it's really quite a remarkable thing that happened in the last 12 years.
And if we ask it questions, inference, it speaks our language?
Well, if you ask it a question, first of all, it not only recognizes the words, but it understands your meaning. It understands the meaning because
nuance?
Oh, sure. You can give it you say, I would like to, first of all, I'm going to let you read this book, read Moby Dick, and then I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions about it. And so first it goes off and reads it, and it takes, a flash of a second.
But does it understand why Ishmael is just completely driven by Moby Dick?
Absolutely, because it read the end of the story. It read the end of the story. And not only that, it's read a whole bunch of other stories. And so it understands the context of the conversation, but it also has encoded within it a lot of things that it's already read from society.
Okay, but you're describing something that's different from earnings per share. You're describing wonderment. You're describing it creating something that can replace trillions of dollars of what we don't need anymore, do it faster, do it more productively, do it cleaner. Everything has to be replaced.
There's a lot of waste in the world.
Right.
There's a lot of waste in the world. Oftentimes we can't chase it down. Of course, there's a lot of wasted energy used in doing computing, and now with accelerated computing, we could make it a lot more efficient. There's a lot of waste in just about every single industry. The challenge is that we've never been able to use a computer to understand the information of that industry. One of the things that's really exciting is we've been able to sequence genes, but we've never been able to understand what it means. We've been able to...
So we didn't understand what the proteins do?
We can begin to understand what a protein does.
Well, if we do that, then we can do drug trials in 60 days instead of 6 years.
That's right.
So companies will tackle the tough illnesses that they can't afford to tackle.
That's exactly right. At the very minimum, you still have to go through trial and do trials on people and things like that, but we could reduce the time that it takes to go through the entire search space of drugs and proteins and targets, and that search space is just gigantic. It's impossible for humans to do it. We can now, because computers with artificial intelligence can understand the language of biology, we could sort through that a lot more quickly.
Well, how about the last frontier? Can it understand a factory?
Well, the last frontier, we have to teach it to understand physical things. It has to understand that when you drop something, it falls to the ground, but it doesn't go through the ground. You have to understand that mechanical hinges work in a particular way. And so this mechanical hinges work in a particular way, or the laws of physics. This is no different than word sequences and sequences of sentences turned into paragraphs and so on and so forth. The computer can learn to understand physics and learn to understand mechanical things.
But can it also learn?
Once it does that, then we can understand how to compute how a factory works.
Can it understand Big Mac fries, Diet Coke?
It's common sense.
It's common sense.
It's common sense, and therefore, of course, if you order fries, you should also, recommend some Diet Coke.
Does it bother you that in the end we're trying to figure out whether it's $1 trillion for Nvidia, $300 billion for AMD? Are these two pedestrian? Are these questions pedestrian versus the 10 years you've worked to get here?
Well, first of all, we do very different things.
Okay.
Nvidia is an accelerated computing company. If you look at the things that we do, we build the chips, the systems, the networking, and so on and so forth, the entire data center practically, all the software that goes into it. And then we sell it in parts. The reason why we sell, and that is what confuses people. They think that Nvidia is a chip company because we sell everything in parts.
Right.
The reason we do that is so that our customers could integrate Nvidia's technology into their data centers however they like. Everybody's data centers are different, everybody's systems are different, and so when we build up the whole thing, we make it work, but we sell it in parts so that fits into the nooks and crannies, if you will.
If you can break it up like that and you have the software, why would there be any other semiconductor companies?
Well, there's lots of, Jim, the world of semiconductors is gigantic. We serve this one niche called accelerated computing and artificial intelligence. Now, this is a very important niche because it's the foundation of computing as we know it going forward.
Right.
But NVIDIA's a data center scale company. We're a full stack software company, and we design the entire computing system. We sell it in parts so that everybody can enjoy NVIDIA.
One last question.
Wherever they are.
Why is NVIDIA a $2 trillion company?
Well, gosh, that's a tough question. Well, first of all, there are several things that I really appreciate about the work that we do. One, the foundation, the single most important instrument of humanity is computing. And now we have computers that could understand information of all different kinds.
Okay.
The impact to the industries are enormous. $100 trillion worth of industry are here. The impact of the work that we do to all these all these industries is absolutely incredible.
You can take your 2% of the $100 trillion. Of course, since we spoke, Nvidia has casually tacked on another $1 trillion in market cap. This is a company with very little direct consumer contact, yet it's achieved trillions of dollars in market impact, up there with the likes of Apple and Microsoft. On Mad Tonight, we're hearing all about the secret to Nvidia's success next.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on X. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadMentions. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.
Before we go into what is going on here, our viewers want to thank you. Thank you for allowing them to be able to retire on your stock, put their kids through school, to change their lives. And I think it's good manners to say thank you.
Well, I want to say thank you to all of the shareholders. With their support, we were able to do our work and realize our hopes and dreams and make a real contribution to the industry and to the world. So I want to thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome, okay? Because we have to start that way, because what you've created here is something that is remarkable, that is being rewarded by the stock market, $2 trillion valuation. So I ask you, what has NVIDIA done to deserve such a valuation? And maybe it's still inexpensive.
There's probably never been a technology company that has made a greater technology contribution to one of the most important industries in the world, and at such large scale. We reinvented the computer as we know it. The computer has been the same since 1964, since the year after I was born. And we reinvented it with this idea called accelerated computing. Now, you could have a computer that's 100 times faster or 20 times more energy efficient, cost 20 times less, and to be able to solve problems at a scale that nobody's ever imagined, such that we helped solve artificial intelligence. And we're now on our way to making enormous progress in automation of intelligence. And as you know, intelligence is foundational to every single industry. And that's the reason why they're all here.
Is this a factory of intelligence?
This, in the future, this is exactly this right here that you're looking at. Can you guys see this? These servers are the densest computers in the world. This replaces entire data centers in the past. And it shrinks them into this little tiny data center here. And this rack here would probably be more powerful than almost all of the computers in the world today.
In 5 years, will there be some, or 2 years, will this be slow?
Every couple of years, we'll be coming up with something so much more incredible. In the last 8 years, we improved performance per chip, per one of these chips. We improved the performance of one of these chips by 1,000 times in the last 8 years.
So that means it can talk about a movie? Does it mean it can read Anna Karenina? What does it mean that it's so fast?
Well, first of all, it's probably read those things and probably read about the movies. And so if you wanted to ask it a question about those movies or a book, you say, read this book. Now let me talk to you about this book. And you can talk to it about just about anything.
Now, can it make it so that a product like the Vision Pro becomes a commercial product, where it would be great to be able to step into a car, find out what it feels like, what it sees, and maybe that would be the sales element for a car company?
Well, first of all, I've enjoyed the Vision Pro, and I got to tell you, it's really fantastic. I really, really enjoy it, and they've done such a great job with it. The tracking, the tracking with the world, the registration of all of the objects in the world, you feel like you're really, really in it. The thing that's really great is when we connect Vision Pro with this world we call Omniverse, and it's running on these computers, we essentially create this digital world that's overlaid with the physical world. And Apple calls it spatial computing, and you feel like you're practically there. It's really quite amazing.
At the same time, if we switch and we're Bristol Myers, we're Merck, or one of these biotech companies, it costs a fortune to do a trial.
Yeah.
And because it costs a fortune to do a trial, they don't do trials, or they try to solve the easy illnesses. I talked to Kimberly Powell, who's your vice president of healthcare, and it is very clear that beginning with Blackwell, we will not do trials the way we've done, and we will go after Parkinson's. We'll go after schizophrenia, the things that no one can conquer. They're now within your ken. They're now possible.
Just as we use the technology, artificial intelligence, to understand a novel, we can use a similar technology to go understand the meaning of proteins, the meaning of life. Now, once we can understand the meaning of life and be able to use it in a computer, we could use that computer to simulate life such that we don't have to do as much of the screening in a wet lab. We could do a lot of the screening in a computer. That computer does it so fast, we could explore the chemical space that is so much larger, explore the target protein space so much larger and so much more quickly. And so whatever we decide ultimately to take to trials will have much higher possibility of actually passing the trial and becoming
I think one of the things is in your keynote, I would urge people to watch, especially the soaring rockets at the end and how gorgeous they are. But people don't realize in the end, you are a supplier to other companies. So that if I wanted to do the drug, I wouldn't call Jensen. I'd be working with a company that is figuring out how to be able to use you to be able to develop a trial. You're not the nameplate. And that's one of the reasons why I think people can't understand that you're a $2 trillion company, because they're not on the Nvidia phone.
You know, there's no computer company that has ever been built like ours. We created a brand new way of doing computing. Everybody we work with here, there's researchers and scientists from $100 trillion worth of industries, healthcare, financial services, manufacturing, and such. And when we're done building all these computers, we break them up into parts and we integrate them into Microsoft Azure, OCI, GCP, AWS, HP and Dell and IBM, and they take it to market. And so the application software is being offered by Cadence and Synopsys and Ansys and Dassault, really amazing company that we work with, Dassault and Autodesk and Adobe and others. Our technology is integrated into theirs. Our technology is integrated into all these computer makers, and the world connects it together. And that's the reason why Nvidia is everywhere.
Nvidia is everywhere. As Jensen said, Nvidia is quickly becoming the everything and everywhere company. And that's why the stock has the valuation that it does. It's why I say own it, don't trade it. And it's why I'm a believer in Jensen and his vision. More with Nvidia's CEO, Jensen Huang, after the break. Welcome back to this special NVIDIA-centric edition of Mad Money. As we mentioned before, NVIDIA's market cap has soared, becoming part of an exclusive club where Apple and Microsoft hang out. As a company, NVIDIA is different from the stocks I coined as FAANG a few years ago. NVIDIA's consumer isn't you and me. It's the other companies that we buy from. NVIDIA's partners like Amazon, HP, Meta rely on the chipmakers' innovation to power their own innovation. I asked Jensen about this concept of what happens when companies realize they need NVIDIA, what I call getting it right with Jensen.
Our technology is integrated into all these computer makers, and the world connects it together, and that's the reason why NVIDIA is everywhere.
Okay,
we're in every cloud, every data center.
Is that we hear all the time, well, you know, but Amazon's working on a competitive product, or Alphabet. All I hear from you is good. We want to help everybody develop whatever's necessary. You are not at war with customers.
No. Well, we do something very different, first of all. Our architecture, on the one hand, could do artificial intelligence. It could do computer graphics, physics simulation, data processing, SQL data processing, which consumes a lot of energy, a lot of cost. For many customers, we reduce it by 95%, 20 times reduction in cost and energy used. So much so that Google's Dataproc is now accelerated by it. We announced a partnership yesterday with a great company, Databricks. They're going to accelerate their data process. They're the large-scale data processing cloud company. They're going to accelerate their data processing on it. And so all of this is something you can do on our architecture. The other thing you can do with our architecture is everywhere.
Right.
And so if you're a developer and you develop on NVIDIA, you can run it on AWS, GCP, Azure, HP, Dell, IBM, anywhere.
But how is it? But you can't. Everything's on allocation. You say we can do that, but nobody has enough NVIDIA product, correct? Does Mark Zuckerberg have enough NVIDIA with 350,000 chips?
Well, we're in the beginning of this AI computing ramp, and we're in the beginning of the accelerated computing ramp.
Well, how do you
decide
who's going to get that?
It's going to last a few years.
Who's going to be able to get? Then we know that you are tech power. I'm looking at tech power. I can't get enough tech power. So what do I do? How do I get right with Jensen?
Everybody is right with me. They're fine. So the most important thing is to work together to plan for the delivery of the chips. You got to place the PO, get your data center ready, get all the engineers working on these data centers together. We'll make sure that everybody gets their parts.
And they're all going to be presumably customers for life. You can't just switch if it were just chips, if it were just hardware, then you could be a commodity. You're not commoditized. You're going the other way.
NVIDIA's a computing platform, yeah. So the applications that are developed for our hardware runs on our hardware.
Well, we're going to have to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to find out more about this man who is sitting opposite me, because it's amazing. From brainstorming on a napkin to owning and managing a $3 trillion company, Jensen Huang has become a real legend in the industry. Now, there's much more mad money with NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang, coming up. Welcome back to Mad Money with NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang. Jensen, 8 billion people did not get a degree in computer science. What are you doing to democratize this world?
We're going to make computers smarter so that they don't have to learn computer science to program a computer. The computer should just understand what we want and what we intend.
But we say, please help me build a factory that can make the best cars. It can do that?
It surely will help a lot. And the reason for that is because you give it a plan, you tell it what are the type of parts that you like to put into it. Eventually, this factory will be a robot that's orchestrating a bunch of manufacturing robots that are building cars that are going to be robotic.
And why do robots look like people?
Well, robots look like people because a couple of reasons. First reason, the most important reason, is that we built the world for ourselves. And so the workstations of a factory, the manufacturing line of a factory was really created for people. And that's the most important reason. The second most important reason is that we have to teach a robot how to be a productive robot. And you need data for that. We're in a world where in order to write a software for a computer, we use data or training examples, and the computer learns from the examples. Well, we have the most examples of human moving around of just about any other form of data.
Now, when you thought of this, were you at Denny's sitting around with some people and saying, you know what, we can do this. It may take 20 years, 30 years, but we're going to do this. When did you think of this?
Well, we started the company in 1993, and our big idea was acceleration, accelerating the work that CPUs are not good at. And if we take that work that the CPU is not good at, and we offload it to something that is incredibly good at it, we can make the overall computer more efficient. That was the big idea.
But that was for a game.
Well, game was the first application.
Okay.
Game was just the first application.
That's a mistake. A lot of people just say, you were a gamer. No, you had this idea.
We were so good at making that chip for games that people thought we were a game company.
Intel thought you were a game company. Well, I know that you presented there.
We're happy that anybody thinks of us at all. And we were so good at it. And in fact, Nvidia is the world's best game technology chip company today. I'm so proud of the work that we do there. And as you know, games is kind of a simulation of the virtual world. And so,
but because of this, because of the whole thing, from Denny's all the way, somehow you are still the underdog. You are hungry. You make it feel like your company's going to go out of business in 30 days.
Jim, that's probably something just related to upbringing. We grew up working hard. My parents worked hard. We're immigrants.
You arrived here before them, when you were 9.
Yeah. And so my older brother brought me to the United States. He was 10. And so we had a 10-year-old bring a 9-year-old to the United States. And so we had quite a great life, but we had to work for it. And we were immigrants, and we took nothing for granted. And my parents work incredibly hard. They work incredibly hard today. And so I think that part of my DNA.
Are they hard workers?
Oh, they work super hard.
And what divisions are they in?
I have 2 kids. They both work at Nvidia. It took me a decade to convince them to come work here. They wanted to go do their own thing. And
they want to be a chef?
One wanted to be a world-class chef, and one wanted to be in marketing and an artist. But now both of them are here. One's in marketing and one's an engineer, and so it's really terrific.
They can engineer the best cake ever.
Spencer is in robotics, and Madison is in Omniverse, and so they're doing amazing work.
Okay, so Blackwell, are these the most expensive things on Earth?
Well, this chip is the heart of the Blackwell system.
Okay.
And this is the largest chip the world's ever made. This is made at TSMC. TSMC's 4-nanometer process. And it is so large, we had to take 2 of the largest chips in the world and connect them together into one giant chip. And so that's the Blackwell chip. That chip goes into the Blackwell computer. And this computer, the R&D budget is about $10 billion. It took us, about 3 years or so to make. And what goes into this is supported by a whole bunch of unbelievable networking and high-speed I/O and mountains of software, and it goes into a data center, and this data center becomes an artificial intelligence factory. and it produces artificial intelligence.
Well, can we safely say that if we wanted to have, let's say, 1,000 incredibly smart people at our company, that they would not be collectively even as smart as that?
Well, it depends on the type of smartness.
Okay.
Artificial intelligence is good at emulating us.
Okay.
And so it emulated how we read. And it emulates, in order to emulate how we read and finish sentences and summarize paragraphs, it had to understand what it read. And so in order to emulate us, it had to understand words.
Well, okay, so I visit you 6 years ago, 5 years ago. It's obvious to me when you show me the dog picking up the Jell-O, and then you reward the dog. That I'm seeing something special. I'm painting a Cézanne seascape. It was so obvious, but it took ChatGPT for everybody to know? Well,
ChatGPT is quite an amazing breakthrough. You know, the OpenAI engineers and scientists there.
But it's based on this.
I'm very proud that Nvidia's computers made it possible for ChatGPT to be possible, but their researchers did just unbelievable work.
There you have it from Jensen himself. NVIDIA's computers made ChatGPT possible. This is why I say own it, don't trade it, and why I've been pounding the table on this company ever since I saw its AI create a painting at my request that looked like it was done by Cézanne. NVIDIA's creativity, its computing power, and its innovation. More with Jensen Huang after the break. Welcome back to Mad Money. More with NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang now. One of the things that does concern me is we're not perfect yet. I went to Microsoft's Copilot, and I asked who your best partner is, and it said your best partner is Intel. I don't think that's true.
Intel's a great partner. Oh. Intel's a great partner. Microsoft.
Who isn't a great partner?
Well,
who do we have to convince?
We work with just about everybody, you know. NVIDIA. Here's what NVIDIA is: a market maker, not share taker.
Okay.
We create markets. Everything that we do didn't exist before.
But then why are some people so scared of AI, so have public fear that this is going to make them so they don't have a job? This is going to create jobs.
This is going to create jobs. It's going to make companies more productive. When companies are more productive, their earnings improve or their revenues go up. When that happens, they hire more people.
Well, that's called an industrial revolution.
That's right.
That's what the loom was. That's what the steam engine was.
It made companies more productive, created more jobs, and made the economy larger.
Is there a CPU that should withstand it, or wouldn't we want everything? Don't we want this in our PC? I know we don't have it yet, but don't we want this ourselves in a consumer fashion, not just business to business, not just enterprise?
Absolutely. Every device will run artificial intelligence software. The question is, are they small software or larger software or gigantic artificial intelligence software?
I listen to you and I wonder, won't there be an arms race? We're not friendly with every country in the world. Won't other countries say, you know what, we have to create our own Blackwell and compete or else we'll be left behind because we shouldn't necessarily share what we have as a country?
The most important thing that countries have to do is to create their own intelligence.
Okay.
Sovereign
AI.
They have to do their own sovereign AI. And the reason for that is very simple. They have a lot of data that belongs to their country. It's their natural resource. It's of their people, of their language, of their culture,
so we want to
of their
encourage
history.
China to do this.
China's going to do their own anyways. But every single country should process the data of their culture and turn it into intelligence that their own society can use. Sweden's already doing this. India is working on doing this. Japan is working on doing this. I think every country should do their own and make sure that they own their own intelligence.
So there's no hegemony of the United States, which would be terrible.
But most importantly, it's because the data belongs to the people. It's their national assets, their national resources. It could of course be combined and shared with everybody else. But we're happy to provide the hardware that helps everybody do that. But it's really important that all of the countries create their own sovereign AI.
Okay, I want to talk about the things that seem superfluous or frivolous, but work. Entertainment, the way we sing, the language that we do. people don't realize the music that it can write. How does it have so much creativity?
It understands music the way it understands language. And, today when you ask ChatGPT a question, it answers your question based on the context of the conversation. Well, you could have a context of the music. And the computer doesn't know the difference between letters, words, and sentences. It doesn't know it any more than it knows, sounds and bars. And so it could create music in the same way that it creates language.
The same way that it creates a better operating room. The same way it creates a better operation, a better machine to operate.
That's right.
These are all things that makes better.
Better chemicals for drugs, druggable chemicals. Better proteins for enzymes for, antibiotics.
Well, then let's bring it back to Wall Street. Wall Street is trying to pigeonhole. And the truth is that your earnings have always exceeded. Even if you go back to 2016, it looked like your stock was expensive, turned to be cheap. How do we try to value what you talk about? Because I myself, who think that I'm a dollar sign represented by a man, and I accept that. I find it, that was supposed to be funny, like your speech. And
it's super funny.
Thank you. I wanted to hear that. I was super funny.
I was laughing inside.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. But you understand that.
On the outside, I was just listening.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Inside,
the mini Jensen was laughing.
Inside, I was so busted up.
I'm just trying to say, I don't know whether it's 10 trillion. Maybe it should be a $10 trillion company, because you're describing everything. You're describing everything that moves, everything that's digitized could be better. So if that's something that you can do with software and hardware, well, that's not a $2 trillion product.
The opportunity for our company and the impact of our company has everything to do with the size of the industries that we serve.
Right.
There's never been a computing company that has directly impacted so many large industries before. Artificial intelligence is not a generic thing. Artificial intelligence is an intelligence that is related to a particular domain. And so the artificial intelligence of information is one, for healthcare is another, for transportation is another, for manufacturing, for industrials. For each one of these industries, the technology that's associated with making the impact for that industry is different. And so our opportunity is very, very large.
But, okay, so you can't, look, you can't meet the demand by any means. And I think there's still this misunderstanding that, well, there'll be a transition between the H100 and Blackwell. All that stuff seems like it's nonsense to me. It's a continuum, and people would even, there are a lot of people who would just die for, they've never seen an H100. It's not outmoded, it works.
Yeah.
And it could create a giant liquefied natural gas boat.
The demand is so high, every customer wants to have their hopper right now. And they're more than happy.
Andy Jassy, if I called him, I said, listen, I think I can get you another 100,000 of these, would he be happy?
He would be delighted.
He would be delighted.
Yeah, because
would
they
Mark
want
Zuckerberg want a million more?
Yes, because they want to build their business. They want to run their business today, not wait 9 months from now to run their business. They want to run it today. And so our chips are not a consumer product that you can wait next week for a year from now to buy. It's an operational part of your company, and you want to run your company today. And so hoppers will be in great demand and great supply coming, but great demand for some time.
I thought that at the conference, one of the amazing things is that there are many companies that have nothing to do with technology. I saw John Deere. They make tractors. They need you.
I love the fact that John Deere's here. They make robotic tractors, make farming more efficient, so that the farmers could be more prosperous. And so all of this, you have retails, you have consumers.
Yes.
It's incredible. Industrials.
Well, if you're, a retailer and you don't use you.
Rockwell Automation is here. In fact, one of my favorite things was a demo I couldn't do because we ran out of time, but Microsoft, Rockwell Automation, Hexagon, did a digital factory completely in simulation, and it was just fantastic. Industrial digital twin. It was a fantastic demonstration. I hope that we'll put it online, but Microsoft, Rockwell, and Hexagon did a great job.
This is what makes Nvidia so different from the rest of the pack. The demand environment is unique. It's not just you and me asking for a new iPhone, a new car, or even faster delivery speeds. It's Amazon, Meta, Pfizer, Tesla asking for Jensen's latest innovations right now. More with Jensen Huang after the break. Jensen Huang co-founded Nvidia in 1993. He's been the president and CEO of this company ever since. But the Jensen before Nvidia is just as interesting as the Jensen after. We got to talk a little bit about his personal life and how his upbringing brought him to where he is today. Now, I want to go back to your upbringing. I know you went to a special school in Kentucky that turned out to be special in a different way. I know that you were the little guy with the glasses, and you got beat up a lot. But I also know that everybody in the end seemed to like you, and you still maintain friends, and you put a school up there. Who were you?
I went to a school, and the mission of the school is to welcome anybody who needs to come. And so there are some kids there that needed to go for behavioral reasons. Some because they had broken homes. In our case, because we were immigrants, and it was a school that was willing to take us. So the openness of the school, the accessibility of that school changed our lives, and it was very important to us. I'm very grateful to the school, Oneida Baptist Institute. Yeah, it's a tough school with a bunch of tough kids because some of the kids had to be there, and some of the kids should be there.
But you won them over.
Yeah, they're good friends now. Yeah, yeah.
Now, the last thing I have to ask you is there are two kinds of stacks. You talk about this kind of stack, and it's obviously worth billions. And then there's the stack that you used to serve at Denny's, which, of course, is the full stack.
My first company.
Right.
Yeah.
So which is more fun?
No, it just depends on the time of day. First of all, I loved my job at Denny's.
Okay.
You and I were both in the restaurant business.
I didn't want to be a dishwasher.
I washed a lot of dishes. I was very good at it.
Good job.
It was a tougher job. Yeah. And then I was a busboy, and the waiters and all the customers took great care of me.
But you liked that too.
I loved it. Yeah.
And you have a lot of joy in your life.
I do.
That's a wonderful thing.
I can't imagine a more perfect life.
Okay, so what world issue are you most want to save? Earth 2, perhaps?
Well, artificial intelligence has its two greatest opportunities, I would say. Most greatest opportunity is the hardest. One is to learn the language of life, and that's healthcare.
Okay.
That is, if we could solve that in this generation, the impact to society be enormous. The other is to understand physics, understand science, multi-physics, very large-scale physics, all the way down to small-scale physics, so that we could predict the climate. The ability for us to understand these two things are so profound to society, and we're so excited about it. And that's the reason why NVIDIA has healthcare. NVIDIA is working on Earth 2, so that we could help contribute to the industry and all the other scientists that are working on this from our perspective of understanding how computers work and our perspective and our scale of computing. We might be able to make a contribution in these two areas. Super excited about it.
I do want to thank you for the contribution you've made to so many people who watch our show, who believe in you, and are correct to do so.
I'm grateful for all of their support. Thank you.
That was Jensen Huang, the co-founder, president, and CEO of NVIDIA from the company's developers conference in March. I like to say there's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise you I'd find it just for you right here on Mad Money. I'm Jim Cramer. See you next time.
All opinions expressed by Jim Cramer on this podcast are solely Cramer's opinions and do not reflect the opinions of CNBC, NBC Universal, or their parent company or affiliates, and may have been previously disseminated by Cramer on television, radio, internet, or another medium. You should not treat any opinion expressed by Jim Cramer as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or follow a particular strategy, but only as an expression of his opinion. Cramer's opinions are based upon information he considers reliable, but neither CNBC nor its affiliates and or subsidiaries warrant its completeness or accuracy, and it should not be relied upon as such. To view the full Mad Money disclaimer, please visit cnbc.com/Mad Money disclaimer.